Welcome to the SVG TV News for Friday, November 18th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. The Rotary Club of St. Vincent has launched its first major global grant-funded project in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, with input from several Rotary clubs in Taiwan across 11 districts. The global grant, funded by Rotary International with financial contributions from the Rotary Club of Taipei Prosperity, among others, was granted on June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $183,183. Project Chair and immediate past President of the Rotary Club of SVG, Dr. Janelle Allen, says the two-part grant-funded project will focus on increased education, awareness, and accessible screening.
It is, in the instance of the project lifetime, a 2-year project. So the funds would be spent in that 2-year period. But that doesn't mean it stops there. The intention is that once we roll out this project, that the Ministry of Health and the Environment would be so empowered to continue, and the females and males throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines would have the awareness of the importance of screening and early detection if necessary, okay? We know that mammograms are advised for females 40 and over, except if you have a family history. So a lot of females in the 30s and the 20s, we think, not yet. But with early screening, we're able to catch anything, and it doesn't have to be breast cancer, but any disease that could be treated before it is too late. I think we're losing too many of our females, too many of our citizens, period, to cancer. And I think Rotary has done an excellent job in stepping in to help us to fill this gap. And certainly we anticipate it will go a long way, because over the course of this project, we hope to reach thousands of Vincentians, not just on mainland, but throughout the Grenadines in hard-to-reach rural areas. We'll tap into the networks that we've built with the churches, the communities, other social groups, to ensure that we reach persons where they are.
Dr. Allen says the education and awareness campaign will be led not only by Rotarians and persons from the Ministry of Health, but other concerned citizens, including influencers. She says they have also received $40,000 from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Taiwan to go towards the training of medical personnel locally in the use and interpretation of data produced by the 3 mobile ultrasound screening units, which the Rotary Club of St. Vincent has purchased and will present to the Ministry of Health by January 2023. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Simone Kieser-Beach says the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment welcomes the offer by the Rotary Club in SVG and the Rotary family in Taiwan to partner with them to implement the program, which focuses on breast cancer, which is the #1 killer cancer of women in SVG.
To the statistics, we have 30 women die. The statistics we have, 30 women die per year from cancer, approximately. That's too many. So this is only 110,000. And as we have been saying all along, this is a woman who is a mother, probably, a sister, a friend, a homemaker. There is a tremendous impact when somebody suffers and, even worse, dies. I always remember when my mother died from lung cancer in 2013. I stopped saying, I know how you feel, because you never know how you feel. It's a devastating, life-changing thing. We also compare that to 8 women per year dying from colon cancer and 5 from lung cancer. So just think about that, 30 against the others. To tackle breast cancer, however, most successfully, we need to reduce the chances of it happening through healthy living, or by catching it so early that we don't have to go to get the $3,000 from Scotch. We have to get it early, okay? And to do this, we have to do screening.
Dr. Kieser-Beach says the Breast Cancer Awareness Project will seek to empower women and girls, their families, friends, and communities by helping them to better understand their risks for breast cancer, showing them how they can reduce those risks, and by bringing some of the tools of early detection to them.
Into the habit of screening, the habit of early screening, and not just that we say, okay, we're going to do this breast cancer program, but our health promotion staff is here. Our idea is that you increase the awareness of the need for healthy living and early screening for everything, whether it's diabetes, it's cancer, or whatever else. So we need to develop that habit of screening. Through this partnership with the Rotary Club of all of the women and girls, men and boys, because as we said, breast cancer affects men also, we all know that, across St. Vincent will have access to some form of screening for breast cancer. As we know, the mammography is the gold standard, but that is normally recommended later on.
The CMO says it is the hope that at the end of the 2 years, the breast cancer awareness campaign will be fully integrated into the National Breast Cancer Prevention Program.
We at the Ministry of Health are also particularly excited by the potential for this project to allow for the Ministry of Health to bring to your doorstep or to the client's doorstep other preventative services. So these services might include, as I said, we have the men who suffer from prostate cancer screening just by changing the probe on the ultrasound. These ultrasounds have breast probes, but if we got probes for prostate cancer, we could get to the people and switch the probe, and so we now have a prostate cancer screening program. And that's what I really love about this project. The capacity to expand is great. We have 48 men dying from prostate cancer each year, even worse than breast cancer. And we know in a lot of our, even in a lot of our households, even though a lot of them are run by women, a lot of them are still run by men, and the men still contribute significantly. So you see the potential, you see why we're so excited, all right? Other probes can also help in obstetrics and gynecology. So for example, instead of somebody, you always hear, we in health will tell you that by the time the nurse writes up the request for the ultrasound, the baby's born already. Yeah, so if we could, if we could get these scans done in the communities, that would help us. Also ovarian problems. We are a population with fibroids. Ultrasounds of the pelvis can look for fibroids. So the scope is amazing.
And Taiwan Ambassador to SVG, Peter Shali-Lan, says the Breast Cancer Awareness Project is a milestone as it is the very first cooperation project between the Rotary Clubs of Taiwan and SVG.
I remember I just arrived last year in August, and I got a phone call from Taipei that our Rotary Club is thinking about finding a strategic partner among our diplomatic allies. I want to show you how competitive it is. So it's not automatic. So we, of course, reach out to Rotary Club SVG. And as the previous speaker said, there were a lot of meetings and discussions, and including from the assistance from the Ministry of Health. So we finally came up with this great proposal, and we were able to beat all other competitors. So we are the only one selected for this cooperation with the Taiwan Rotary Club. So that's the first accomplishment. Now, the second one, I believe this is the first ever grassroots public health cooperation in between St. Vincent and Taiwan. We already had a lot of cooperation, G2G cooperation in terms of public health. But I think this is the first ever that we bring in private sectors, bring in public sectors, and everybody works together, come up with a proposal, and we are going to implement that together. And the best thing is we are going to reach out to the community.
Pharmacist assigned to the Kalyaquart district, Kimisha Nanton, is urging diabetics across St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take their medications as prescribed by their doctors. During the Bel Air Health Center's Diabetes Awareness Fair on Wednesday, Nanton advised persons who use herbal medication to be careful.
Persons who say that the bush medicine works for them, but it might not work for everybody. Same with the medication. Some medication might work for some persons and it might not work for everybody. Now the thing with bush medicine is that we are not sure how much quantity of whatever ingredients is inside of it. At least with the medication, it's normally proven because it has to be tested and trialed and everything. So I would advise persons to take their medication. They should know how they're taking their medication and make sure that they take them all the time. At this moment, I would advise for persons to make sure they know what medication they're taking and how they're taking them. If they have any questions, they can always ask their pharmacist, their nurse, or their doctor, because a lot of persons, they're taking medication, but they're not sure why they're taking the medication or what they are using the medication for. So it's always important for the diabetic patient to take their medication as they should. And if they have any side effects, any adverse effects, they can always go back to the pharmacist or doctor.
The pharmacist further outlined the medications that are used in the clinics in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for persons with type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
Types of medication. There are insulin, there is oral medication. Typically for type 1 diabetic patients, insulin will be the first choice and the only choice. For persons with type 2 diabetes, we have oral medication. Most persons might be familiar with the metformin because that's normally the first line of therapy that these persons would use. We have other categories of drugs as well. There is the diamicron, which is a sulfonylurea. There's a whole wide range of medications. So today we have some on this. Most persons will be familiar with the metformin because most persons are normally on the metformin. We have all these other drugs. There is the sitagliptin or the Januvia. We have the glyburide, which is normally glibenclamide, but the other name is glyburide. They will know it commonly as glyburide. We have some display of insulin, the different types of insulin here. We have Lantus insulin, insulin 7030, and insulin R, insulin regular. So these are what's commonly used and available in the public sector.
And foot care assessments done during the health fair show that some diabetics still do not understand the importance of caring for their feet. This is according to foot care practitioner in the Ministry of Health, Sister Janice Oliver Crease, who noted that diabetes can affect the nerves in the feet and puts one at risk for developing a foot ulcer that can turn into a sore, which in turn could lead to amputation.
It's very important because that's what takes us around. That's what holds the upper part of our body upright. So we must pay special attention, especially the diabetic patients. I mean, there are so many things that they need to know about their feet. How do I care for my feet? I need to inspect my feet every day, and if I see any changes in color, any sore on my feet, I need to see my doctor or my healthcare provider at my health center that I normally attend. So today I've noticed some toenail fungus. Okay, I've noticed some brittle nails. I have also noticed some involuted nails and also some ingrowing nails, which means that these persons who are not paying attention to their nails and to visit their health center where their nails can be taken care of.
Sister Crease is urging diabetics to pay special attention to their feet daily.
Not when you feel like, not when you remember, because caring for your feet must be a constant act or care that you are doing for your feet.
The foot care practitioner says interested persons can have foot assessments done by the foot health team at the Stubbs Polyclinic next week.
Other health centers are having activities at different days, and at Stubbs we will be having a foot care day, which we are looking at the 23rd of November at Stubbs Polyclinic. We will be doing some foot assessment and foot care there. So diabetics in the Stubbs and surrounding area, this is your day, this is your opportunity. You can come out there and meet us there, and we are going to assess your feet and give you more information as how you can care for your feet. On Friday, the Mespo Community Health Center, they will be hosting a march and rally also out in Mespo. And come next week, the Diabetic Hypertension Association will be hosting a screening day at the old Treasury site in Kingston. So, you know, we are doing a lot to bring awareness to our people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I hope that we grasp the opportunity to come on out and know about your health as a diabetic, know if you are pre-diabetic, know your status, know your number. So make sure you grab this opportunity in the month of November.
Male students at the Gomez Methodist School were educated on life skills that would help them transition into respectful and responsible men at a session hosted by the school in celebration of International Men's Day, which will be observed tomorrow. At the session, Pastor Ezra Kamabach spoke to the boys on topics such as personal hygiene practices, household responsibilities, and dress code. In an interview with SVG TV News, Pastor Kamabach says these life lessons will help the young boys transition into God-fearing men.
A lot of our boys sometimes don't have the training that is needed for life. Our boys may be doing well at school, and some may argue that, but what we're here doing today is giving them some life skills. These are a little different from the academic skills that they may get in school. Life skills really go hand in hand with the academics that they will do or receive when they're in school. So the idea really is to help our boys to go from boys to men, and that's what we are here doing today. It is about helping them to learn some of these, what is called softer skills that they will need as they grow from being a boy to a man and becoming responsible men. So things like learning how to dress well. There's a culture in our country that there are so many men who wear their pants below their underwear and their underwear shown and it seems hip. And we are saying to our boys that that's not the case. It is not good, it doesn't look good, it's not decent for men to be showing their underwear. So things like learning how to dress properly, learning how to treat others well, learning how to respect others, learning how to do simple things around the house, things that they can learn and that will help them in their transition from being boys to men. So whether we talk about physical skills, simply learning how to dress properly, how to take care of themselves, how to groom themselves, to some of the other more complicated skills like being self-aware, learning how to recognize their emotions and what is happening with them, learning how to handle those emotions and how to handle conflicts. Those are some of the things we're trying to impart to them so that they can be better men as they transition from boys.
Pastor Kamabach is also encouraging men across St. Vincent and the Grenadines to set an example for the youngsters by being better leaders in the home and better fathers to children.
I really want to challenge our men. There's a whole lot that has been said against men, and some of it has been warranted. But I want to challenge men that, hey, it is not too late to make a change. International Men's Day says that men still have a significant role, and the statistics do prove it, that when men step up and fulfill their responsibilities, whether in terms of the home and in terms of work, that things go a lot better. And I'm challenging the men who may be viewing this, particularly those men who have children and wives. Come on, we can do better. And when we step up and take responsibility, when we do our part, then our lives and the lives of those we leave can be so much better. So the challenge I want to leave with the men is, hey guys, we still have the responsibility to lead. We're not going to argue whether women could lead, but we are given a responsibility to lead, and we should lead and lead well and lead responsibly for the sake of our children and the women that may be in our lives.
International Men's Day 2022 will be observed tomorrow under the theme Helping Men and Boys. Even with the opening of 2 new market facilities in capital Kingstown, some vendors are contemplating their next move as they still have burning issues that are unresolved. As we hear more in this report by Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
In 2 weeks' time, these stalls will be removed off the pavement and streets. The opening of the new market facilities has left vendors divided.
I don't think going in the market is a good idea because on the street you make more money.
You can't fight against it, you can't fight against the law. So I'm thankful for that. That's for everybody. Who don't want it, that's them.
Remember trying now, I'm so confused. I don't know what to say. I just left everything up where they want to, how they want to do it, then just do it, please.
Vendors are displeased on many fronts. Some vendors showed up at the opening ceremony with the hope of getting an award with the Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, as they feel information reaching him is not a true reflection of their opinion, and said it is about time to set up a vendors committee.
More than today, you just bring the Prime Minister to open up. And he didn't, I don't even know what he told us to, because he ain't tell we nothing good. Do it better than that, Mr. Prime Minister, who you put in place to do your work. They can't run market.
They don't make a dollar, they still have to pay tongue board whether or not they make a dollar. So have a committee for the vendors itself so they can make their views and voice their opinions to a committee and have somebody to represent them, because half the time tongue board is not representing them.
Vendors maintain that the relocation is ill-timed and questioned who is going to hurt or benefit during the Christmas season.
Honestly, we have braced the bad weather for years. We have been on the street and we've braced the bad weather for years. We have tarpaulins that we set up to brace the bad weather.
Vendors in Kingstown Market are also concerned. There are empty stalls upstairs which are all taken, but vendors said they had to return to the streets to ply their trade.
I'm here over 30 years in this market. Okay, I see this market bill. I was all around on the street, vending all the time. And after they built the market, I went inside. But from the beginning, we were getting a little sale. But afterwards, the sale just dropped. That's why it brings back out the people outside. That's why so many people came back out here.
At the opening ceremony, a holistic approach to cleaning up Kingstown was outlined by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, including plans to improve business for the vendors.
To take care, and instead of when we're taking care of our family, we have to look for the streets as well, clean up the rats and all things off the street. Because when we sell it, when you leave the produce, knocking about, the rat come and it eat them. So we're glad for the market.
Meanwhile, business owners refused to comment on camera but said that it is about time the government took a stance on street vending. Passers-by also welcome the cleanup of Kingstown.
And lawyers here have been told that they will not be able to park freely inside the courthouse yard. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who, while addressing the opening ceremony for the new market facilities yesterday, said he has listened to the vendors who have informed him that it is unjust that lawyers receive free parking while they must pay daily costs. PM Gonsalves says the parking space at the courthouse yard will be reserved for persons working there, but not lawyers.
Own parking space are shutting you out from there. You want fairness? I'm giving you fairness. And today, the registrar of the High Court is supposed to come before me, and I'm going to give her the instructions in relation to that, and we set a timetable. But I'm giving public notice. You see, they have disorder inside of the courthouse yard. It's a security issue. We have to fix that too. All of this thing must be done properly and orderly and fairly and with equity. No question about it.
The declaration of 3 new categories of standards from the Bureau of Standards has now increased the number of national standards in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to just over 100. This accomplishment came after a collective effort among stakeholders within the tourism and hospitality industries and the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, which saw the creation of national standards for sites and attractions, spa and wellness, and vending of tourism craft and merchandise. A ceremony to launch these standards was held at the Sunset Shores Hotel on Tuesday. Speaking at the ceremony, Executive Director of the SVG Bureau of Standards, Ezra Ledger, said the new standards have been declared national documents and that it is the hope of the Bureau that various entities and organizations will use the standards as benchmarks to improve the quality of life for Vincentians and the tourism experience.
The standards, the covers are prepared here on our signature cover page, so I would say that the 3 standards were carried out under the supervision of the ISO International Organization for Standardization, which is the organization internationally that is recognized for international standards. So there was a mirror committee, as well as the National Technical Committee on Tourism and Tourism-Related Services. So again, the Bureau is grateful to the commitment of this committee for bringing to reality these important standards. So the first standard I'm going to give the review on is the National Standard for the Vending of Tourism Craft and Merchandise. This was adopted and declared for use as an approved St. Vincent and Grenadines national standard by the National Standard Council on the 17th of August 2021. And the formal designation for this standard is SVG NS 78 2001 Code of Practice for Vending of Tourism Crafts and Merchandise. So SVG-NS is basically St. Vincent and Grenadines national standards by virtue of our legislation. This standard set out a series of requirements and practices to be observed in the sale of craft and merchandise by vendors registered or licensed by the St. Vincent and Grenadines Tourism Authority. The establishment of these requirements is intended to increase visitor satisfaction and to ensure continual protection and promotion of the tourism industry on the regional and international market.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation and Sustainable Development and Culture, Dr. Risa Noel McMarnett, commended the National Technical Committee for the development of the new standards, which showcase an all-inclusive approach through the contribution of relevant stakeholders. McMarnett said the Ministry of Tourism continues to be steadfast in its commitment to improving the tourism sector and encouraged all owners and managers within the industry to get on board and register to obtain their license in their respective fields.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tourism Authority continues to demonstrate its commitment to the enhancement of services within the tourism sector, with the recent development of 3 tourism-related services standards. The organization's appreciation for the enhancement of stakeholder skills and service excellence through service standards development is further evidenced in the previously developed 5 standards and codes of practice in 2010. Strengthening on this commitment, in March of 2020, the SVG Tourism Authority, as part of the National ISO Mirror Committee/National Technical Committee, began its work in overseeing the development or review of 3 tourism-related service standards. The committee, I am told, solicited and received the participation and contribution of relevant stakeholders, ensuring an all-inclusive approach to the completion of the standards. All entities worked assiduously over the 3-year period to complete the review and finalize the drafting of these standards.
Chairperson of the National Standards Council, Dr. Jean Saville Cummings, stressed that the targeted engagement of stakeholders is essential in governing regulations and standards.
Is important in the way we chart our way forward. The director mentioned the work that the Bureau has been doing recently, and coming out of COVID and coming out of the volcanic eruption. I think this really sets the stage, hopefully, Director, in terms of how we are going to go forward. First, let me express my sincere gratitude for the work that was done by the Tourism and Tourism-Related Services Technical Committee. I know we have some members here. I know that they dedicated significant time and resources to the development of these standards. And I did hear that it was mostly by Zoom because of the pandemic. I think all of us had the experience of having too many Zoom meetings, so I recognize completely the effort that represents. It is now well established, I think, that the advancement of governing regulations and standards in any particular sector is best promoted.
Director of the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, Andrew Lockhart, emphasized that it is important to employ these standards in the various fields of the tourism and recreational sectors, ensuring that St. Vincent and the Grenadines remains at the forefront of an emerging tourism destination.
So it is quite timely, in more sense than one, that here are 3 pillars that is beckoning to us while we look outwards for more international and regional visitors, and while we look inward for a greater amount of Vincentians at home taken to our various recreation and tourism parks, while we anticipate as hoteliers, as store operators, as water taxi operators, as tour guides for what hopefully will be some bumper harvest from what is projected in terms of the tourism takes. It behoves us all to not only to have these series of standards to put on our shelves, but rather to give what I call sinew, blood, heart, limbs. In other words, it behoves us all to take these standards and employ them in whatever field of the tourism and recreational sector they were involved in.
Also at the event, members of the National Technical Committee were recognized for their commitment and contribution to the achievement and received tokens of appreciation from the SVG Bureau of Standards, the Ministry of Tourism and the Tourism Authority. The standards are in keeping with the International Organization for Standardization.